The United Nations General Assembly has resumed its emergency session on Gaza, with Palestine's UN representative, Riyad Mansour, delivering a strong condemnation of what he described as Israel's ongoing genocide. Mansour also criticized attacks on UN institutions and violations of international law, calling for an immediate ceasefire and an end to what he termed massacres. He urged the enforcement of International Court of Justice rulings, emphasizing the need for Palestinian self-determination and the establishment of a sovereign state based on the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. He concluded by underlining the urgency of ending decades of occupation and apartheid.
And upholding the rule of law, of protecting civilians and achieving justice for victims.
The head of the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, Yunus al-Khatib, has condemned Israeli actions obstructing humanitarian efforts in Gaza, calling for an immediate ceasefire and unrestricted access to aid. Speaking at a conference in the central West Bank, al-Khatib stressed the need to uphold international law to safeguard civilians and humanitarian workers. The event also paid tribute to 21 PRCS staff members who lost their lives since October the 7th of the year 2023, highlighting the vital role of volunteers and calling for their protection worldwide. Israeli occupation forces have bombed a house in Gaza's Nusayrat camp, killing 3 civilians and injuring several others. Airstrikes also targeted Gaza City, Rafah and Khan Yunis, while intermittent shelling hit El Maghazi camp. Rescue crews in the Al Junaina neighborhood recovered 3 bodies amid the destruction. The attacks across central and southern Gaza have left widespread devastation and numerous casualties. An Israeli airstrike on Gaza City's Sheikh Radwan neighborhood has killed 10 Palestinians, injuring others after targeting a house. That comes as Israeli occupation forces detained 28 Palestinians across the West Bank, including children and a wounded individual taken from hospital. The raids involved home destruction, assaults and threats. Jordan's King Abdullah II has urged an end to settler violence against Palestinians and the immediate cessation of violations of Jerusalem's holy sites. Earlier in Washington, he called for a Gaza ceasefire, a 2-state solution, and a sufficient humanitarian aid. Meeting U.S. lawmakers, Jordan's king emphasized the need for sustained relief access in Gaza, support for Lebanon's ceasefire, and stability in Syria. Amnesty International has reported that Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. The organization called for urgent international calls, citing evidence from its research that Israel continues these crimes systematically and with impunity during this year-long military offensive. Their report described Israel's actions as unleashing devastation and horror upon Palestinians.
That is more than a year ago. The Palestinians of Gaza have been held in a nightmare.
Gaza-based health authorities have announced that the death toll from Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip has climbed to over 44,500, with over 105,700 wounded. Medical reports said that Israeli occupation forces committed 5 massacres against families in the Gaza Strip over the last 24 hours, which killed at least 48 Palestinians and injured 201 others. Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, is conducting diplomatic visits to Qatar and Israel ahead of the U.S. presidential transition, aiming to facilitate a Gaza ceasefire and detainee release before January the 20th.